you get me some water and grab a copy of my latest book off that pile in there?
See, that is
Uh,
case in point. The wife
yeah.
is helping you.
The
All right.
the female
Yeah.
co-host.
All right, guys, we are live, episode 127 of the Shooter's Mindset. Thank you guys for joining us here. We have a great guest here for you guys, pistol shooters or just shooters in general, three gunners. There's something here that's really going to be beneficial to you for watching the show today. We got Grandmaster Shooter, also author of Refinement and Repetition, some excellent books. If you're a shooter, you have to have this book or you heard about it. We have Steve Anderson in the house. What's going on, Steve?
How's it going, folks? Good to be here.
It's good to have you. This show is long overdue, man. It's kind of one of those. Your name has always been back in my head. We just never got it put together, and we're glad to finally have you on.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Co-host today is Jennifer Seymour. What's going on, Jennifer?
Hello, everyone.
And Jennifer does have his book. Well, one of them at least. It
Yeah, I was there. It is.
it just looks brand new, so you know she hasn't used it a ton.
It is bent a little bit. Thank you very much.
I,
Gosh, why you gotta call
is
me
that
out right in front of everybody,
Right,
Anthony?
right,
Gee.
right away. Hey, I don't have his
is
book,
that
so it could be worse for me. I don't have a period.
this is the new one with extra thickness. Look at all that thickness.
Oh,
Extra
yeah.
thickness.
Get to
I
work.
need an app on my iPhone that'll go off and remind me, hey, idiot, go dry fire. That's what I need.
You know, I'm going to leave that one alone because I normally I would have, if you had written that to me in an email, I would do a whole show about that. But I'm going to let it go since we just met.
Oh.
There we go. We have Nikki
That
Clevenger.
hurt right there.
Nikki Clevenger's in the house, and a perfect time. We're announcing the host and co-host if she's up and running. We can't hear. Can we hear you? I can hear you.
I'm
Oh,
not.
okay, you're here.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. All right, so Nikki Clevenger's here throwing. We have two lady three gunners, a pistol guy, so it's going to be a good source of information coming on here. Let's see. So Steve, let's kick this one off. Actually, I got a few announcements first here. Actually, the Q&A section in the bottom left-hand corner. If you guys are new to the show, bottom left-hand corner is a good way to open up the Q&A app, ask your questions to all of us here, or I know they're primarily going to be for Steve, but get those in. We'll answer those to our best of our ability throughout the show today. Also, the Shooter's Mindset on Facebook. We got a post that just went live. If you prefer to use Facebook to get your questions in, you can do it there in the comment section. Show sponsors today is Tactical Shit, shop.tacticalshit.com for all your tactical shit needs. All right, battle belts, targets. I mean, they got dry fire timers. If you don't own one, they got books, clothes, patches, holsters. They got kind of all around website. So next time you're shopping, consider them when you are. All right. Techwear USA, they have the Techwell system. Also, they have the Tac Latch. It's a new model, so it's not available yet, but they kind of leaked out a photo. So it's an AR-15 charging handle. It's very sweet. I think it's going to be a very good upgrade from the original Tac Latch design. So check out Techwear USA for your jersey needs and your AR-15 charging handles, all right? And also Brett Russo for always being a big supporter of the show. He's a good dude. We like him a lot here. All right, we talked about the Q&A section. Also, the Shooter's Mindset. We have an app available for iPhones and for Androids. That's a Google Play Store and an iTunes Store. Download the Shooter's Mindset app. You'll see Steve's face right there as soon as we shut down the broadcast. It'll be there so you can rewatch it over and over and over again. So if you want to be cheap and you can't afford a class or something, maybe this can at least get you started going in the right direction. Then you can buy Steve's books and then save your pennies, and then you can take a class with him eventually. All right.
And you know, we can talk about later how to get a free class if you're really cheap.
All right, there we go. So free classes are being thrown around here. Good stuff. All right, but for those who are unfamiliar with you, Steve, tell us a little bit more about yourself and, what was your goal when you first got into shooting here?
Well, I was gun neutral growing up. I was raised by Christian music teachers, and we weren't hunters, didn't have guns around. And I was managing a record store in Columbus, Ohio, and a young man with a K-bar knife came in and tried to kill me. And that didn't go over very well. So when he got out of jail, they sent me a letter and said, hey, this guy's getting out of jail. I called the prosecutor, and I said, this guy's getting out of jail. He knows where I work. What am I supposed to do? Guy says, get a gun. So I got a Smith & Wesson 5906 and was just horrible with that thing. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, as the saying goes. But I had a mentor at the local gun store who helped me out and pointed me in the right direction. And probably the most amazing thing he ever said to me was, "You should try a little dry fire."
And that sparked it, right? Simple, something
That-
simple as that.
That was it, you know. And I had no clue what dry fire was. I had read about it in magazines, but I knew that if I could practice everything but the actual shooting in my basement, I'd have to get better. There's no place to go but up. I was so bad, you know. And that's how it all began. And got an open gun sometime later. Made GM roughly 9 months after getting that open gun.
Right on. So it only took you. I mean, did you go in with this goal, like, you know, hey, I'm kind of new, want to get better. Screw it, I'm just gonna go for GM right off the bat. Was that a goal in your head, and then you accomplished that goal?
Well, the way that worked was, this was so long ago that we only had dial-up internet, so it was like, grong, grong, chicka, 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 chicka. Everybody remembers that well. I don't know if you guys ever heard that noise
No,
before.
I had that AOL dial-up thing.
Yeah, okay, so you know. Right? And
I remember when there was no internet.
I do too.
If you lost internet connection, it would take 20 minutes to get right back.
Yeah.
Right? But there were no resources, and I had a Matt Burkett DVD where the end of it featured this young shooter named Blake Maguez. And nobody knew who Blake Maguez was back then. He was this new junior shooter, and he was running around this looked like a golf course with a bridge on it, going pop 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 reload, pop 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 reload, and all I knew was he was a GM. That's all I knew. And I thought, if that's a GM, I want to be one of those.
Right.
And the other thing I knew was that it's one stage per match is the classifier, and back then they were mostly variations of draw, shoot 6, reload, and shoot 6 more. That was pretty much it, especially set up locally, because they don't want to set up, you know, Fish Mart and the ones that have the run-in and everything else. They just set up the real simple ones. So that's what we saw locally. And I just figured if I get really good at doing this, I could be a GM, and that's what happened.
Right on. So that fed that was the fuel to the fire there, and seeing that's interesting. Seeing Blake Maguez, those DVDs, if you can find them, they're like gold right now.
They're very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a story. That's a real interesting story. I mean, that's probably one of the most interesting stories of how someone got in the competition shooting. Someone tried to harm him, and he's like, "Hey," the guy said.
You ever seen a K-bar knife? That's intimidating.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. So I mean, so you make GM. What gives you, at this point, where are you at now? You start writing books. I mean, you had a podcast that was very popular. Where the hunger take you after making GM?
Well, when you make GM relatively naively and relatively quickly, you have a huge problem. Okay, you're now a GM.
Right. It kind of just begins, is the way I see it.
Well, and I wasn't even really that aware of all the challenges I was going to face. My field course strategy at that time was to run as fast as possible and shoot as fast as possible. And that carries you a long way locally, but you go out of town, you got a free clock cleaning waiting for you with that attitude, you know. And that was the beginning of what I had to learn. Plus, I was on the super squad, either my first or second Open Nationals on the super squad. I got no business being there.
Yeah.
But here I am. Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Steve. I wrote a book. Oh shit. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel when I shoot matches too, but I didn't write a book.
Well, what's really funny is when you shoot a match and you screw a stage up. This actually happened to me. I forget where we were. It was the first stage of the match, and I tried to shoot a steel with a no-shoot behind it on the move at an angle, and I clipped that no-shoot twice. The steel's still standing. It was just a classic failure by doing what I thought I could do instead of what I know I can do at that particular match. and I was unloading and showing clear, and the RO goes, "Well, at least your books are pretty good."
Oh,
man.
man.
So,
Yeah.
thanks for that. Have a nice day.
That was rough.
That's terrible.
You know what? But there's something to take away from that because, and you know, I got a match coming up here soon where I'm going to be shooting with, you know, Bob Vogel, he's like, I mean, the guy's pretty amazing. I've taken a class with him, and I call him a machine. You know, the guy is just, I don't know, it's you know, it's pretty something to watch that guy shoot. But so we're kind of in the super squad, right? So all these master class shooters, the best is in this one squad. I'm in with these guys, and every time I've shot with either on a local level with the guys that I know are master class shooters or whatever, and they're the top guys and locally, I'll try to think that I can make that shot. You know, kind of like that steel shot that you take with the no shoes. I'll take that at an angle. I'll ball out because I got to show off, right? I got to at least give these guys a run for their money, or I gotta show them up a little bit. And man, does that end up biting you in the ass in the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and you know, I'm a real you know, and I know this is kind of like a little bit of a downfall, and I've said this throughout the show, but on a local level, it's on a local level though. I kind of tamed it down. If I see a guy smoke this run, right, and I say, well, what's your time on that? They're like, well, 9 and some change. And I'm like, all right, I'm going in. I'm you know, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna beat that time. And boy, does it come more times than not. There's something that goes wrong, and it just becomes a disaster.
Right,
Who was it? We had somebody on here that said something that really hit home to me. It was somebody that shot the IDPA Nationals, Anthony, because y'all were talking about that match. And he was talking about knowing that he takes his phone and times the swingers and all, and he knows how fast he can fast he can do things. And so he has done his homework, and he knows how to, you know, go through and I got to shoot the swinger on this shot because it's this fast and I can shoot it at this speed. And I was like, you know, that really puts all of us to shame that just go out there and just shoot it and don't really do our homework and know for a fact I can shoot this in this amount of time.
Yeah, that was Brandon Wright, and I shot the match prior. That was a super squad, and I just was watching him. You know, my match was done. I was just hanging out with those guys. I was watching them, and I saw him pull out his iPhone, and I was like, well, why is he pulling out his iPhone in the middle of a stage walkthrough or a stage briefing? And I asked him after it was all said and done and everybody shot, I'm like, what were you doing with your iPhone out? He's like, oh, dude, when they were showing us the movers, I was timing them all. And in my head, I already done this. I have everything jotted down on paper, so I know what I can do within that time frame and how fast that swinger or that drop turner disappears. And I was like, dude, why didn't I think about this stuff?
He knows his splits, he knows his transitions, and now he knows how long the target's available. He can do whatever he wants in that environment. And that's a guy who is confident with what he knows he can do. Genius.
Yeah, there you go. So there's some, I mean, I think we talked about that with Brandon Wright. We talked about it on the show. I mean, that's something that if I was to say that one thing following those guys around in that match, that was the most, kind of the simplest kind of like, what the? Use technology. It's right there. Doing the walkthroughs, they're showing you everything on the move, time everything. But the only way that works is if you put in the work before that. You got to know your times, write them all down, jot them down. And that's the hard part for a lot of people. They just don't want to put in the time.
Well, and you know, I want to go back to something you said very briefly, and I apologize for interrupting.
No.
But I'm used to doing a show by myself where I can just say whatever I want for as long as I want, so I have to tone it down a little bit. But here's the thing about shooting with the Super Squad, and I mean this with all due respect. They don't care about your shooting. That's not why they're there. They probably aren't even watching you. Okay, so trying to show off for them is pointless because they don't care. They won't be impressed, and they'll probably, if they're being honest, they'll probably feel sorry for you for hanging it all out there and trashing the stage in an attempt to do that. They're far more interested in their own performance than anything anybody else is doing, you know. Yeah. So it's just not a smart thing to do, you know. And there's no upside. So
there it is. It's just that's my own self trying to be competitive for just the sake of being competitive. All right, I'm gonna beat that time.
Trying to be a baller.
Trying to be a baller. You gotta win. You got
I
it
know
in
you,
there.
Anthony, and that's all you are about is trying to be a baller. You want to have the
Trying,
baller jersey.
Well,
You want to
I
have
like
the
to
baller
act
ball
like a
cap.
baller. I'm not a real baller. I just try to act like it. Fake it a little bit. I look
I'm
really
not.
good out there. I tell you that.
I'm not real sure what a baller actually is. But I will tell you this: that match is won or lost in training. Is where that match is won or lost.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali underwater in the pool, boxing for whatever reason that's done. He's winning that match in that training session, so that he can go to the boxing competition, whatever they call those things, and just box. You know.
Nikki, what are your thoughts on this here?
This is just so much. I mean, but I've heard people talk about timing like swingers and knowing how fast they can do something. I have a good friend named Morgan Allen, and he has tried to get me into knowing how fast I can do one skill. So when I know that I have to do that skill in a stage, I know how long that's going to take me. So I don't need to worry about that because I know how long it will take me. I need to worry about, the rest of the stage plan. So, I mean, am I any good at that? No. Do I have any consistent times? Probably not. But you're right. It's one in the dry firing and practice and everything like that. You got to, you prepared to win during practice. Now you're just taking what you've prepared to do to the match.
Yeah, I spent a whole season one time playing with where on the steel to shoot it to activate it faster or slower. And not only did I was able to do some stuff with that, but the really cool thing is I didn't miss one ever. Because now you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to shoot that steel. You're thinking, I'm going to shoot that steel in the bottom of the lower half so I can get maybe an extra quarter second out of it before it activates the target, so I can go shoot these soldiers over here and these little ducks. And that's just another example of when you really start to pay attention, you can learn so much about your shooting. It should just blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff. Like, dude, you spend a whole season on just finding out where's the sweet spot on a popper target so you can get that extra edge.
Yeah, they're all,
Bottom
they're all different. Sometimes you want them to go fast, sometimes you want them to go slow, and I really enjoy getting into that stuff and trying to figure it out. It's a lot of fun.
There you go, man. That's some good stuff. All right, so how did you analyze? So let's break this classifier down. You talked about it briefly. How did you analyze and break down the classifier to make GM? Now, I've seen some other stuff in some other books and some other videos of people shooting, breaking down classifiers. How did you go about it?
Okay. Well, you've got a draw, so let's work on that. You've got a reload, so let's work on that. And then you've got generally 6 shots in between, either paper, steel, or some combination thereof. And I didn't set up exact classifiers except for El Pres, which obviously is in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I set up an environment where I could duplicate any of those simple classifiers. So it'd be draw, steel, steel, reload, paper, paper. And then I'd do that the other direction. Then I'd do it, and then I'd do it with turn and draw. Then I'd do it freestyle, then strong hand only, freestyle. And these drills, if you've read the book, if you'd opened the book, you'd know. I'm talking to you, Jennifer. It's all in there. Don't hide behind that thing.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh no! I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm hiding.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's these are very simple skills. You've got to draw hands up, draw hands down. You got to turn and draw. You can do those things for free over and over again and get really, really good at them. And the thing that I find interesting thinking about it now is I didn't know anything about calling my shot. I didn't know anything about the middle game whatsoever. I just knew instinctively, primarily from music, that if I did these things over and over and over again, I'd eventually get better at them. And the only reason the book exists is because people noticed how well I was doing, and they said, what's going on? And I got tired of giving it away for free. Here's my little, it was on one piece of paper at the time, and here you go. And I got tired of giving it away. So if I'm going to give it out, I might as well at least make some money,
Yeah, no harm there.
I gave you my money.
There you go. And this third book, I didn't even hear about this third book that you've been showing in the camera real quick. There's right now on the website. Is there only 2 books I see here? So is this one not released yet?
No, I just added that one. That one has sold out of 2 printings, and this is the 3rd printing that we finally got it back in stock. It should be available now. It's for sure available on Amazon. It should be available in my store now as well.
Okay.
It is everything I've learned. You know, the first book was everything I knew, and then the second book was everything I learned, and then this one is pretty much everything I know. So this is, Art Levy likes to refer to it as my manifesto, so I guess that's as good a word as any.
There you go. So safe to say that you should buy the first book, second book, and then go to the third book. Don't mix and match. Don't get the third one and then think you're done.
Well, and then with this third one, I actually wrote, I forget what I called it, but I wrote a little addendum to Refinement Repetition where I make just a few comments about what I would do differently or how my thinking of those applications has changed. So there's a little bit in there that you can take back to Refinement Repetition and maybe see it at kind of a different angle.
Right on. So that kind of answered one of my next questions that I said, you know, the book of Refinement and Repetition has been around for a very long time. Shooters have recommended it in the game for years now. And my question was, if you can rewrite that book today, what would you change? Would you change anything? And you included it in your third book.
Yeah, the main thing I would change is Refinement Repetition has you do counted reps of each drill, and what I would change now is I would do those for a set number of minutes. Like instead of doing 12 reps of drill 1, and what I do personally now is 2 to 5 minutes of drill 1. And not only do you get more reps in, but I truly believe that it accelerates the subconscious transfer of those skills from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. And the simple act of not counting those reps, I think, more actively engages your subconscious mind.
There you go. So, man, you guys got to go get these books, right? I mean, we're not even halfway through the show yet, and you know, I'm gonna buy these. So I know I'm sold. I know you guys are sold. Just want to quick.
My birthday's coming up. I might need some books.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know anything about 3-gun. I've only done 1 3-gun match in my life, and when I got to the long distance, it was like a 200-yard steel. I had this, what was it, Bushmaster heavy barrel varmint gun with a 6-power scope on it, and I cranked that thing up to 6, and I slapped down there, and I couldn't even find a steel target, let alone shoot one.
Yeah.
And the RO was laughing at me so hard. I was like, how am I doing? Not good.
At least your books are good, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Actually.
Yeah,
At
I
least your books
didn't
are
have
good.
any clue what I was doing. Yeah, that's right. At least the books are good.
Yeah, at least the books are good. Good stuff. I just want to remind you guys of the Q&A section. I haven't had. I don't know if anything's on Facebook. I haven't asked Jennifer, but the Q&A section. If you guys want to join the conversation, please put your Q&A in the Q&A section, bottom left-hand corner, or on the Shooters Mindset Facebook page. Is a great way to get that in. Let's see. We got one more here. Then we'll switch it up. We'll do a little segment of the show, maybe the lightning round or something like that. In the game of USPSA. More times than not, there are multiple ways to shoot a stage, whether you're starting in a different location or there's your arrays of targets you can take at different times. What are some stage breakdown tips and advice you have?
All right. I'm going to give you a twofer. It's going to be a mental game tip and a stage breakdown tip. Okay? First thing is you need to treat every stage of every match exactly the same. That means there are no speed stages, there are no accuracy stages, there are no survival stages, there are no big point stages. Every stage of every match is exactly the same. Okay? Step 1, analyze the stage, and that begins with finding every shot. How many times have you walked a stage that you thought was a 22-rounder, and then you find out it's a 24-rounder at the very last minute, and you don't know where those 2 shots are? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah.
I always ask ahead of time now. I'm like, how many rounds is this? And I go through and start counting, especially like when we have like jungle runs, the shotgun jungle runs. Oh my gosh, it's so easy to miss stuff.
Sure.
I'm always like, how many? Just tell me how many so I can go find them all. It's like an Easter egg hunt.
That's
Yep,
exactly what it is, an Easter egg hunt.
with a shotgun.
I feel the same way, Jennifer. I feel the same way.
I'm like the one at the Upstate 3 gun the last time. I was like, how many are there? Like, we missed one the first walkthrough, and everybody was like, oh, well, that's. I'm like, no, y'all, we missed one. What did we miss? And so we had to go through and find it.
And that's very stressful. That's stress you don't need, you know.
Yeah. So they don't tell you how many targets.
Please don't miss this. Please don't forget that one you forgot in the walkthrough. Please don't forget this one you forgot in the walkthrough, and then you forget another one you weren't even thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they don't tell you that information in the walkthrough of the stage at majors. For 3
Well,
gun?
it's on the.
Sometimes it's on the stage brief, but I mean they don't have to tell you.
Okay.
It's probably always on the stage, and that's the other thing is you want to get that information from the written stage brief, not from your squad mate who may or may not be your trusted ally, not from gossip you overheard. You want that written stage brief in your hand. 24 shots, you know, 22 paper, 2 steel. You got to know. That's the first thing you got to know. And then once you've analyzed it, you want to strategize it, which means formulate a plan that plays to your strengths within reason. Okay, so if I know my shooting on the move is very well trained, I know I can do an open target at 20 yards moving, no problem. I'm going to see that as a golden opportunity because most guys are going to post up and I'll just creep right along, you know. So you want to start thinking in ways you can play to your strengths within reason. You know, you don't want to avoid an obvious advantage going left just because you like to go right. That's not a good thing to be doing. But within reason, you know, you want to play to your strengths, and of course what you know you can do. And then that would also go into planning those reloads pretty early, particularly in production. You know, you want to get those reloads planned very, very early so you're not scrambling at the last minute wondering where your reloads are. And then you're going to memorize it in chunks if necessary. And ladies, is it possible, do you think, to memorize an entire multi-gun stage? Is that something that you attempt to do every single target?
I memorized in chunks.
Okay, so you know
And
arrays.
positions. So I know, like, okay, I'm going to start and I'm going to shoot these 4 targets and I'm going to run to that spot. And then I'm going to shoot 3 so I'll remember 4, 3, 5.
Yes,
4,
I remember
6.
numbers like.
I remember how many at each. I remember positions and how many there should be there. And then once the walkthrough's done, I'll go back and stand and close my eyes, and I'll try and remember exactly where everything was, if it was steel or clay or paper.
I do numbers also like shoot 6, load 8. So after I've shot 6, I know I need to load 8. Then I shoot this number, and then I know I need for shotgun specifically. Then I know that after I've loaded 8, shot 6, loaded 8, shoot 8, load 4, you should still have X number left in the gun. You should be able to finish the stage and have 2 left over if you miss somewhere, kind of thing. I'm doing the math in my head with numbers.
I'm pretty good at stage planning and stage memorization. Like I don't think I ever missed a target last year. Like I'll remember where things are. People make mistakes and like whiz by a target and miss it and just forget it. I don't do that. My stage walkthroughs, man, I shoot it beautifully in my walkthrough. It's when you put a gun in my hand that there's a problem.
My mind was great. It was perfect.
Well, and so you're already on to the next one. Once you've got it memorized, it's time to visualize, and you need to be doing that the entire time until it's your turn to shoot. No matter how small the stage is, you need to be visualizing that entire time in as much detail as you can manage. That would be a good thing for people to write in about if they want to. The 3-gunners, for some reason, I get more and more 3-gunners in my classes lately, and I'm not sure if it's because the sport is getting better or they want a certain pistol edge. But everybody tells me they're having a hard time memorizing and visualizing an entire stage. So that's why I asked you that. But I think that'd be a good goal, is to know where every single target is. Mm-hmm. You know, and the better you visualize that, the better you can do what comes next, which is surrender to your eyes, block all that out, and just follow the gun around calling your shots. And that's the mental game part of it that is so calming and so helpful.
There you go. We're going to get into the shot calling here in a second because I know it's going to be a big topic. Nikki, you got a question that came in for Steve. What do you have?
Yes. So for new shooters starting out in a shooting sport new to them, so say they've only shot USPSA and they're getting an IDPA, or they've only ever shot three gun and they've decided to try USPSA, what would be your advice to ramp up quickly and develop a competent training program?
Well, so much of that depends on who the shooter is and what the sport is, but I think you've got to figure out what the sport requires. Every sport has different requirements. Like Steel Challenge, stand and shoot 5 targets is all that sport requires. Okay, so the best you can set up a training that gets what the sport requires up to a very high level. USPSA requires shooting accurately and quickly, moving to a new area and shooting quickly, memorizing the best course of fire. So let's find a way to get really good at all those things. 3-gun has more requirements than anything. You know, you've got to load that shotgun many times. You've got to throw them in buckets occasionally without shooting people. You've got to go to the rifle and do different things. But those things can all be practiced in dry fire and live fire, but you have to know what the sport requires you to do. It may seem like a dumb question, but what does this sport require? You know, IDPA requires a fishing vest, so you got to get a fishing vest. You know, that's the first step. You know, and then you just got to get the rest of the requirements and start building up a training program.
There you go.
After you get the fishing vest.
I would say fishing vest. I just thought it was another place to put logos.
Yeah, it's another place to put logos. So I'm thinking about
It's a NASCAR fishing vest, but it's still a fishing vest.
Yeah. In the
It
end,
ends up looking like a Boy Scout vest with all
Yeah,
the.
patches, all your.
yeah, I got some patches on mine. Yeah, you got some patches. I got some pins on it. It starts looking real Boy Scoutish. It really does. We had one more, Nikki, that you had thrown in there. Which you want to ask that one?
I actually have a couple good ones coming through. So, what are the top 3 things you see as development opportunities from students you train?
Development opportunities is positive code word for screw-ups. Generally, the biggest one by far is no training schedule. The first thing I do in a class is say, okay, what's your training schedule? Well, I dry fire little and live fire some. That's not a schedule. A schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, dry fire 90 minutes in the morning, dry fire 90 minutes at night, range all day Friday. That's a schedule. Doesn't need to be that intense, even if it's 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. That's a positive investment you can make in your shooting right now that will have you getting so good so quickly you won't even realize it. So no training schedule is the biggest one for sure. Number 2 is failure to understand that there is a mental game, and it's happening right in front of your eyes whether you know it's there or not. You're either damaging or improving your mental game all the time, even if you don't know it. So that's probably the second one.
There you go.
You owe me one more, though.
Oh, well, okay, so
3, you owe me one more.
taking training guy or training girl to the match is really bad, and that's an easy trap to fall into, but you've got to avoid taking your training mindset to the match, because that's nothing but, hang on, that's nothing but this. That's what you get when you take your training mentality to the match.
You had a minion fart gun. Handy.
This is not the new SIG 320.
There we go. We're going to talk a little bit about that gun here shortly. We got another question come in, but here we're going to go into the lightning round here. Jen, take that question after the lightning round. I think it's going to be a good one. Let's see here. Lightning round here, just kind of yes or no. If you can have one or the other, kind of silly questions here. If you can only shoot with a tactical vest or a battle belt on and attach all your kind of tactical gear on, which one would you choose, a battle belt or a vest?
I don't know what a battle belt is. Vest.
There, fair enough. If you can only watch one or compete in one, is it MMA or boxing?
Not real sure what MMA is. I'm going to go with boxing.
There you go.
Mixed martial arts. Is that what MMA is?
Yeah, MMA, UFC, Bellator, that type of stuff. Yeah.
I'm still going boxing because I feel like I can learn fewer skills quicker.
That's a good reason there. If you're in a restaurant, white or wheat bread?
Wheat, because it's this much healthier, although nobody knows why.
There, yeah. If you Jack Daniels or Jameson, if you can only drink one.
Both,
Fair
Oh,
enough.
I'm sorry. I have
Well,
to choose Jack Daniels.
Yeah, I like
It's
Jack.
cheaper.
Yeah, and I took the tour in Tennessee, and I'm telling you, it made me even more of a fan of Jack Daniels. But
It's good
that's not
stuff.
here nor there.
There's a Van Halen connection there too because Michael Anthony had a Jack Daniels bass for many, many years. So that's a good Van Halen connection. Good job.
There you go. Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris get into a fight in their prime. Who do you have winning?
Would Bruce Lee even show up? I think it goes to Chuck Norris.
There you go. Chuck Norris gets this one. Usually Bruce Lee wins that battle for some reason. Everybody think, Bruce Lee was kind of like this mystical kind of like, Super Saiyan type of dude. I think that it gets off from the movie.
Bruce Lee, he's got to be like the Brian Enos of that world. Everybody agrees with him, but nobody understands him. So,
There you go. We mentioned some Boy Scouts earlier, but we got Girl Scout cookies here. Thin Mints or Samoas, if you can only eat one.
I've never had either one of those. I'm going peanut butter.
Yeah. How about this one? Oreos or Chips Ahoy?
Oreos all day long.
Right on.
Double stuff.
Double stuff.
There, that was
Definitely.
We gotta like freeze frame that laugh and just kind of put it on repeat.
Shut
over
up.
and over again.
I love double stuff.
My wife is laughing in there because she finds the empty Oreo bags in the trash every morning, so she's in there snickering about that one.
There you go. And what do I have here? I got let's go with belt systems here. We're just kind of on the fly. So they got the ELS system, they got the CR speeds, they got the double alphas. If you can only choose one out of those three, what are you picking?
I choose CR Speed because they're a sponsor of mine.
There, honesty.
Honest.
Well, and I'd used their stuff for years, and the only reason they're a sponsor was I put together a little impromptu 9-person shooting team, and I'd never asked them for anything, and I called them up and said, hey, I got this crazy idea I'm trying, and they sent us 11 rigs. 11. And that kind of generosity, plus their mag pouches are the best mag pouches in the world. And I was using those before too, so CR Speed all the way.
There you go. Jen, you have any Q&A you want to hit? Anything on Facebook? I know there's some going up in the group chat right here.
There's not any on Facebook right now.
You want to take one? You want to take one
of
these in the chat?
In the group chat we have, how should someone put together a training program and how should they chart their progress? So
okay,
say it's like a really busy mom of 3 that doesn't have a lot of time.
Okay, this is real simple. Refinement repetition. Your hypothetical mother already owns it. However much time you can devote. Let's start with 24 minutes. First 12 drills, 24 minutes, 2 minutes per drill. Very, very simple. If you got 36 minutes, 3 minutes per drill. Okay. Once you start doing it on a regular basis, you will find it to be not necessarily addictive, but you'll start to feel guilty if you don't do it. And remember, your mental game is going on in the background. Okay. So every day you follow that training program, your mental game is growing and growing and getting better. The day you skip, your mental game begins to deflate. Okay. So real simple. If you got 12 minutes, do drills 1 through 12 of refinement repetition, a minute each. And then 24, do it for 2, 36, 3, so on and so forth. And tracking your progress, you'd know this if you opened up the book and looked at it. There's a chart ready to go for you.
So you have the chart already in there.
That question was on there. I did know that. I do have the charts.
I'll be the one that says I don't have the book. I don't have it. But my birthday's coming up, so I will use the chart. And a lot of these questions I typed up, so I'm trying to think. Don't ask that question. It's probably in the book, and you didn't read it, so don't ask that one.
I will say though that was a good answer because when I got the book, which part of what happened with me straying from it is I went from pistol into 3-gun, and I had to learn how to shoot a shotgun. I'd never touched a shotgun at all, or a rifle. So I had such a learning curve with that the pistol kind of got put on the back burner. But when I sat down and looked at this, I was like, oh, I don't have that much time. This is so many drills, and it was a little bit overwhelming as far as well, I don't know how many I should do. So that's really good that you say pick 12, yep. Do the first 12, and do it based on how much time you have, either 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes per drill.
Yep.
So that's good because you could take 15 minutes and just do 12 of the drills, do them each for a minute. So that's good stuff there.
Yeah, and then I also want to remind you that is the thing I would change. The book calls for you to count those reps, and I'll probably eventually update that whole book and do a version 2 or something. But doing each drill for a number of minutes, I think, is far better than actually counting those reps
Oh, there
for
we go.
numerous
I
reasons I
agree.
could do a whole show on. So
There you go. We have one from Steve Moneypenny in the Q&A here. Will you be shooting more majors this year? So, straightforward question.
maybe. I know Steve Moneypenny. He's a good friend of mine. We came up together around the same time. I have what we call a level of participation problem right now, which means I don't have the time or money to pursue it at the level I want to. So, Mr. Moneypenny, the best answer I got for you is maybe. And if you send me a big bag of money, yes.
There you go. Well put.
But here's the deal, you need three things. You need time, money, and understanding. When I've had the time and money, I've been short on understanding. And now that my understanding tank is full, I'm short on time and money. So we got to get all those three going at the same time.
There you go. So yeah, you definitely don't want to. You don't want to dabble in it. You want to really go balls to the wall, shoot what you can. So you have a goal in your head of what you want to participate in.
Well,
As
and
far as
it's so important that your goals and your level of participation match each other. You can tell yourself all day long, I'm going to go beat Max Michel, but until you have the resources to train the way he does, it's just not realistic. So it's not a smart goal to have. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of people when they get into it don't process.
Yeah, and I think Max does that. It's almost like I always bring this one up, and I know some of you guys might get tired of hearing it, and I kind of worded it in my own way. This is not exactly how it said. You can go back and watch that episode, but I said one time I asked Rob Vogel, hey man, and the question is, how do I beat you? What would you tell me to get me to beat you, right? And he said, I kind of mix and match. I kind of make it seem a lot worse than what he actually said it. But he's like, do you have a wife? And I said, yes, I do. Do you have a full-time job? I'm like, yes, I have 2 jobs. He's like, well, quit those. And he didn't say those like this, but he said, get rid of the wife and pick up a gun in your hand and leave it there. And that's your goal to beat me.
He is no. You don't know how truly insightful that is. That's the difference between somebody who engages in these shooting sports part-time and somebody who engages in them full-time.
Yeah.
I asked a very famous shooter what it would take to beat Eric Raffel. And he said, oh, that's easy. I got to get divorced, I got to quit my job, I got to quit doing classes, and I can do nothing but train. Yeah. Who's willing and or able to do that for a big silver cup?
That's every time I get beat by a junior shooter, I think that same thing. There are some amazing junior shooters in 3-gun right now. Amazing. Unreal. And then I remember they don't pay a mortgage. They don't have bills. They're not married. They don't have student loans to pay, So it's like every time a junior shooter beats me, I'm like, that's fantastic. I'm so happy for them. And then I don't feel bad about myself because there's a reason. They have time when they get off school. They don't have any mortgages to pay, anything like that. It's like
they have a chef and a chauffeur and an ammo reloader. They got a full factory sponsorship, every single one of them.
Yeah.
More power to them. But
I wish my parents would have got me.
Out here in the real world, things are a little different.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get into shot calling here. I know we already talked about it, and it's been dabbled on throughout the show already. But how can we always talk about it? I think over time, if you shoot like every weekend or you're shooting a lot of club matches, you can know if you throw a shot. I mean, either that's a D hit or it's just a mic. But calling those C-zone hits, and calling these shots, I think that's where a lot of people need improvement on. So do you have any drills within dry fire or live fire that can improve your shot calling?
If you Google Travis Tomasi shot calling, Travis does an excellent video representation of the best way to go out and start doing that. And essentially all you do is put a target far enough away that you can't see the bullet holes, shoot some number of shots, probably 2 to 4, and then take another target and draw on that target where you think those shots went. And that's how you get started in doing that. As far as why to do it, it's phenomenal. You can predict the future when you're calling your shots. You know as the gun fires whether that shot was acceptable or not, so it frees you to go handle the next one. And it only works if you dedicate yourself to it and commit to it fully. And most guys don't like it. Girls, I apologize. Most people don't like it because it feels slow when you're doing it. You don't have that hair on fire feeling. But I would much rather have that nice feeling of good, acceptable shots than my hair on fire, at the end of the stage.
Right. So put a target deep out there and draw on the target where your hits are, and just do that repetitively till you get it down.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do is on a short multi-target drill, you can go set up 3 targets and have yourself finish where you can't see the bullet holes, and just shoot it. Pop, 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 pop. Okay, and then it's really helpful if you have a buddy with you, and just tell your buddy, we'll just shoot T1, 2 Alpha, T2 Alpha Charlie, T3 Charlie Delta. And that's a fun game to play because you don't get to know your time unless you called your hits correctly. So you're usually real excited to hear your time. Well, if you can't tell your buddy what those hits were, he's not going to tell you your time. So the sole goal of that exercise is to know where your shots went.
There you go. Yeah, that sounds like a fun game to play.
Yeah, you just get a buddy, go out there and play that game. And remember, the definition of success in that drill is not 2 alphas in every target, because it's really easy to do it in bullseye mode. Boom, boom. That's not shot calling. That's bullseye mode. Okay, that can be a bridge to shot calling, but that is not shot calling. Shot calling is pop, 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 and just watching your sights lift. Anything but a close Charlie gets made up. If it's a wide Charlie or a Delta, you got to make that up. And you can always tell who's doing it when they shoot makeups on paper.
Yeah.
You never shoot makeups on paper?
Yeah, I've done it before, but it's like more of like I knew it wasn't an acceptable sight picture when that shot let go. I didn't see the sights really good. I knew that shot was either in IDPA it's a down 3 or I just missed a paper, and either one of those is not going to be acceptable. So, but then when I after the stage is done, you'll see a lot of down 1s or C's, and I'm like, shit. Well, I thought those were good shots. So obviously I need to work on shot calling for those closer shots.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a mental game component to it too. The beautiful thing about immersing yourself in shot calling is that your conscious mind is so busy doing that it forces everything else into the subconscious where it can do the most good. So instead of navigating, shooting, worrying, fretting, rushing, trying, hurrying, all you're doing is follow that gun around. Good, good, good. Nope, make that one up. Yep, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. And that's it. And if you get that stage memorized and visualized, that's all you have to do is follow that gun around and call those shots. It's the best you can shoot.
All right, Moneypenny here has a reply here. You and me both with the money. I miss the good old days. Fewer bills, more time, good friends, cold beer, big cigars, and resources are huge.
Yeah, we had some good times. We set a lot of stuff on fire in eastern Ohio, me and Moneypenny. We had some times.
There you go.
We had a drunken golf court race up and down a rifle range. Never mind.
There you go. All right. We have a few more questions here we're going to get to. I'm going to pull one off of mine, and then we can take some Q&A. What do we have here? So can you miss, this is a question we asked over Keith last week, can you miss fast enough and still win? So speed versus efficiency. What do you have on this, Steve?
Yes, you can do that locally, and that's about it.
Okay. So, but also if you're a good shot caller, so take this, so if you're good calling your shots, you can make that shot up so quick because you knew at an instant it wasn't acceptable enough.
Sure, you've got a 0.2, 0.3 makeup as opposed to 0.5, 0.7, realizing that you missed.
Mm-hmm.
Once you experience what this does for your shooting, ask Ark Levy.
Yeah.
You know Ark, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's
Ark,
local.
yeah, Ark can tell you better than I can. Well, I don't know about better, but he can explain it differently than I can. Just imagine knowing as the gun fires if that shot was acceptable. It's brilliant, you know,
Yeah.
and you can fire those makeups so quick. You know, you ever watch somebody shoot a steel and miss, and then they look over their gun? Oh man, I missed that one. You missed. You know, you can know instantly
Yeah,
by just watching those sights lift or watching that dot lift.
right on. What do we have? We're gonna pull one question here. Nikki, you got one lined up?
Yes. When you were on the cusp of getting to the top of your game, what was the aha moment you had? Like, was there a certain skill that finally clicked, a training hurdle you
Yes,
finally overcame, or you trained differently and found it worked better? Like, what was that aha moment?
I'll give you three.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, when I understood visualization was huge for me. I would have conversations with my buddies at the bar after the match, and I wouldn't remember stages we had just shot. You know, my good friend Kyle Ferris, who's Flex Money on that Brian Enos forums, he's the moderator.
Mm-hmm.
He and I, he and I came up together. We learned this stuff together, and we're at the bar talking about the stages, and I have no clue about a stage I just shot an hour before. So visualization was huge for me, huge. The next one was, let's see, there's two more. We'll get them out of order. Shot calling was the next one, a huge revelation for me, both in the shooting and as a mental game component. And then
Right.
finally, discovering match mode was, those are all sort of related, but discovering match mode and learning to leave training guy at home where he can't hurt you was another huge one, just absolutely huge.
Oh, there
So
you go.
those three together, visualization, shot calling, and learning match mode. And those are all in the new book, Get to Work, by the way, with extra thickness, double the thickness, now available. It's not just a hokey sales pitch. It really is the truth. Um, all that stuff's in here.
Right. So you can go to andersonshooting.com. You can get it there, or you can just go to good old Amazon and get it there. And like I said, there's
Yep.
3 books out right now. I'm on the website right now. I currently don't see the newest book on there, but I'm sure it'll get there. I see Principles of Performance, and we see Refinement and Repetition, and you can buy
Okay.
the 2 book combo.
That will be fixed 2 minutes after we get done. I promise.
All right, there you go. So you can go there, and this is all still valid. All right. What do we have here? You talked about match mode and leaving the training guy at home. Elaborate on that. What do you mean by leaving the training guy at home?
All right. So, training guy's job. I keep forgetting we have female 3-gun shooters. Training gender neutral shooters' job is to rush, try, hurry, and get better. Okay, that's training person's job, is to analyze everything, rush, try, hurry, try anything you can think of to shave seconds, tenths of a second off of everything you're doing. Okay, but if that person goes to the match with you, they will ruin your match. Ruin it. So we have to develop mode that says, number one, I'm going to the match to shoot my current level of skill. I will do that by calling every shot. And it's so calming because you don't have to worry about rushing and trying and hurrying anymore. So you've got to get rid of this idea that there's something you can do on match day to be better than you are, because there's not. There's nothing you can do. When you wake up, go through your morning ritual, get in the car and drive to the range, you are the shooter you are on that day. So the only thing you can do is go out there and call every shot. If you don't like those results, you can fix it in training, but you cannot fix it the day of the match. It's not possible. You can only make it worse.
There you go. Jen, you have a question that you pulled off?
Let's see, how many rounds do you shoot a year? And I guess more specifically, even than like one big number, how much dry fire versus live fire do you do?
When I'm training hard, when I was in Georgia briefly, was my highest level of participation I ever had. That was, I'm sorry, prior to making Grandmaster, I was dry firing 2 hours a day in the backyard at 18-yard targets. So instead of the normal 30 feet it calls for in the book and 3 feet between them, I had those things out at 18 yards with 9 feet between them, trying to hold my current par times. Okay, so that means L-Pres in 2.8, 2.9 dry fire, 18 yards with 9 feet in between them, trying to maintain those times. And then live fire twice a week, 200 rounds or so. The great thing about a match mode is once your match mode is refined and in place, you can get away with a little less live fire because your mental game is so strong and your match mode is so strong. So the most I ever shot, probably 1,000 rounds a week, but I don't think you need to shoot that much. I think particularly once you learn to call your shots, once you understand match mode, you can do a lot more in dry fire.
There you go. Good stuff on the dry fire. I mean, we talked about a lot. I mean, this is a show I think you got to watch over a few times to really soak it all in. You know what I mean?
I could go for hours.
Yeah,
hours.
I'm sure.
These are my favorite topics. I could do this all day long.
I'm gonna wait until it's not live and on YouTube so I can pause, write stuff down, play, write stuff down, pause it, rewind, catch that one more time.
There you go.
Well, and again,
and it's
everything we're touching on is right here. Right here.
When I get that book for my birthday, and I'm gonna write these notes in that book.
Yeah. All right, I got one lined up here, and then we can take some Q&A. And what do we have? Any future goals, any projects, anything you got upcoming? We talked about the book briefly, but is there anything else?
People have been after me to do e-versions of these books. Maybe get that going. Probably will do a audiobook of Get to Work because there's a lot more content in there than drills. So trying to figure out a way to get over the technical hurdles of doing an audiobook. Need to get my official G card in production. That's probably my next shooting goal. With the old SIG 320 here. I'm still a master in production. I'm not even sure what percentage I'm at, but I need to get that corrected very quickly. So that's probably my next one.
So why
I really enjoy shooting production.
Why the P320 though? We talked about this a little bit early in our pre-chat when we went live, and a lot of the SIG guys were excited about it. And we talked about the restrike capability, so you can get a good trigger pull in dry fire. And this is awesome.
Yeah, when this, I'm a gun manager in a gun store, and I didn't know anything about this guy until it showed up. I thought it was a 250, and the 250 is not a universally loved pistol. So I picked it up and thought, oh, wait a second, SIG's made a Glock. Well, let's check this out. And you can see, everybody can see nothing in there. Mm. So I picked it up, and it did that, and then it did that. And I thought, good Lord, this gun is made for Steve Anderson. This is my gun, because no longer do we have to take the Glock and lock it out of battery, or we got to take the Beretta and hold it back and then not let it forward very far. I don't have to do any of those things. Now we're living large like Jerry Michalak, dry firing for real, and it's just phenomenal. Never mind the ability to change grip sizes, which this is the full size medium. You can go to a small or a large. Never mind the modular system where you can take the I forget what they call it. They have a technical name. You can take the actual receiver out and change calibers.
Yeah.
All that stuff's great. I don't care about any of it. This is what I care about. All day long. Multiple shot drills with a realistic trigger pull. It's phenomenal. They should have named it the Sig Sauer P Steve Anderson because it's just made for me.
Right. I think they're taking out that feature in the Target model. So I think they're coming out with a newer model of the 320, and that feature is no longer there.
Well, what I've heard from a SIG armorer, this is the guy that goes around and teaches the classes, and from Bruce Gray, is that feature will be in there, maybe to a lesser extent. Maybe it won't quite, because apparently there was some concern about the secondary click degrading the overall trigger pull. And I'm not a gunsmith or an armorer or anything like that, but what I'm hearing from Bruce Gray and from the guy I talked to at SIG is that it will be there, just maybe not quite so pronounced. So we can.
There you go. There you go. Any Nikki, you got any Q&A?
Yes. What is the funniest thing you've ever seen at a match? Other than your drunk golf cart races up and down rifle ranges and stuff. I'm talking during a match.
there were two things that happened. Number one, this was after a match. Does it have to be during the match, or can it be after the match?
You can do
After.
one of each. I want to know, like, in a match, did someone's pants fall down? I mean, nothing dangerous like a gun falling or anything like that, but
Well, I did almost have a number two accident prior to a big stage. They had chicken or burgers one year, and my dumb ass gets the chicken in the middle of summer. It's 108 degrees, and thank God Kyle Ferris driving his Dodge Dakota back up the hill. And it's like I'm in the back seat, I'm going, Kyle, Kyle, pull over. He says, what? No, Kyle, stop the car. So I go running out. Oh, and I did one time race Chris Tilley to the outhouse, do the business, and back out of the outhouse. That was a different number two incident, but those are the two I can think of right offhand, both having to do with bathrooms for some reason. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no one wants. I think we've all been there, but no one wants to use. Like, you have all the gear on, Even though the USPSA belt you can kind of easily take off, but especially with three gunners, and I know ladies, it's
so we got to take it off every
worse.
single time we got to go to the bathroom.
You never want to go to the bathroom, especially if you're in the middle of a match. I mean, it's just.
Look, last match I was like, no, I am not gonna go pee. I'm gonna make it through the last two stages. We got to the shotgun stage, and I finally was like, yeah, I have to go pee.
Yeah,
So I had to take everything off and run all the way back to the building.
Yeah, because you got to go to the clubhouse because it's so spread out there that there's like no porta johns or anything. Not that you'd want to use one, but.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
And the person that I went with had DQ'd, and so he was like going to stay in the car, and he had parked in the shade, and everybody parked around us, so I couldn't drive the car, so I had to just run.
Yeah.
That's awful. Now, funniest thing I ever saw after a match was we took half a can of spray paint and put it in a burn barrel, and that thing shot up 75 feet and came down within 6 feet of a brand new Mary Kay Cadillac, which wasn't funny then. And Moneypenny, if you're still on, that was John Booth's Mary Kay Cadillac that almost got creamed with the flying spray paint can. I'm sure he remembers.
Yeah, he chimed in here. I really feel that the full scale dry fire helped me out a lot. Do you feel like it helped you too? Full scale being, like you said, outside real targets at further distance.
Absolutely. If you've got the space, absolutely. And by the way, you can work on your shot calling in dry fire. All you got to do is score your targets when you get done. Instead of just blasting away at them, or instead of making yourself shoot perfect alphas, just score your target when you get done. In fact, the new book has another little drill variant where it talks about setting up your entire dry fire array and then setting a par time on your timer for 10 or 12 or 14 or 20 seconds, and then just shoot your whole array, leaving only acceptable shots, which means as you're dry firing through there with your dry fire ready SIG 320, all you got to do is go, and you'll start making up bad shots in dry fire. It's a beginning of, not necessarily the beginning, but it's the continuation of shot calling in dry fire.
There you go. Jen, you had one on Facebook?
Yeah, there's a really good question on Facebook. Kenny Platt wants to know, Steve, once you've developed your speed mode and accuracy modes by themselves to be strong, what should you do to pull all that together in match mode at the match to see the fruits of your labor? Basically, when you're both fast or accurate on demand, how does one best blend the two at the match? I think this is like the biggest question anyone that competitively shoots has.
Are you ready? By calling every shot. That's how you do that. Now, again, this is a shooting technique and a mental game technique. When you're calling every shot, when that's the only goal, when you've memorized and you visualized and you're setting all that aside, now my only job is to call these shots, you get the best speed and the best accuracy you're capable of that day on demand. The only downside is it won't feel fast. Can you accept that downside for consistent shooting at your current level of skill? I can. That's a pretty good trade-off. So that's your answer. By memorize, visualize, call every shot. that gives you the best of what you can do on that day.
There you have it. I got one last that we're going to wrap, and then we'll kind of start wrapping this up. We got Discount Corner, and we got some shout-outs here. If someone wanted to take a class with you, how do they go about?
All right. The best way to get me in a class is to get 5 or 6 shooters that are willing to do, I'm sorry, it could be 5 to 8, no more than 8, who are willing to do $400 for a 2-day class. And then you, as the class sponsor, you need to find a range. You need to get all the stuff secured with the board of directors and get all that stuff. It needs to be a range that has USPSA props. And then normally they will host me at their house. We can save on those expenses. And once we get all those things lined up, the sponsor gets the class for free for doing all that legwork and getting the other shooters. So if you want me to come to your town, I'd love to do it. Just get 5 or 6 or 7 other shooters who want to do it. Shoot me an email, and off we go. It's very, very easy to do.
There it is. More importantly here, this one kind of slipped on the list. I was kind of jumping around on questions. Mindset before the match, I don't know if you talked about this, and during the match.
Sure. Most people are familiar with sort of the pre-match anxiety, the little negative voices that pop up in your head. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You need to find a positive, true statement that will calm that stuff down. For me, mine is, I will shoot my best by calling every shot. Yeah, but I will shoot my best by calling every shot. Yeah, but this person's going to be there, that person's going to be there. What if you don't win? What if you lose? I will shoot my best by calling every shot. So that statement defines what I'm going to do and why I'm going to that match. Okay, that's my only job. Okay, and the other thing is that I saw that written on your sheet here. There should be no difference whatsoever between your mindset at a local or at your major. The last show I did was called Every Match is the Same. Okay? Because as soon as you start distinguishing between a local match mindset and a match mindset, major match mindset, you have just invited inconsistency into your shooting. You've said, inconsistency, I'm interested in sucking. Please come over and help me suck. Okay? Not good. Not good. Every match of every stage is exactly the same. If you're making distinctions between them, you're spinning wheels. Okay?
There it is.
To answer the question, or did I just dance around it?
No, you
hang on, I wrote some stuff down here. Let me see. Okay. And by the way, it's very important to avoid negativity. You can go to the lunchroom of any major match and listen to 75 chubby guys tell you about their mics. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
That is,
It's hard to avoid. It is kind of hard to.
So don't go in there, and for the love of God, don't get the chicken, right? So you're going to go in there, and the guy's going to say, I just shot stage 3 in a drop turner, and I missed it, and I came over and clipped 2. Is that really what you want to hear right before you go shoot that stage? Do you want that shit? Sorry, do you want that stuff in your head? What if you're first? And you've got to listen to Chubby McD class talk about all of his mics and misses. You don't want any of that in your head, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So avoid negativity. Do not engage in negativity at all.
I'm writing that.
And then
B class.
he's a real dude. Every club's got one.
Yeah, he's a real honest guy. You know, hey, I missed a swinger, and a bird pooped on me over on stage 2, and it's just.
It's too hot. It's too cold.
Yeah, you always get. It's hard to avoid because I talk to some really good shooters, and even with some of the good shooters, they'll still hit you with, oh man, it's just, I'm shooting pretty good, but on stage 3, man, I just got a double mic on a drop turner. It was a really fast shot. You always still kind of run into it. It's hard to completely avoid it unless you change that conversation to something positive right away.
By the way, it is, you can do very, very well in this sport by making a lot of mistakes. I know, because I've made every single one of them you can possibly make. But when you're tired of the inconsistency and you're tired of working so hard to get such a small reward and shooting poor no matter how hard you train, there's got to be an answer, or you're just going to quit. And that's why when you asked me what the aha moments were, the match mode, the shot calling, and the visualization, those are things you can start doing right now. whatever level of participation, whatever level of participation you have access to, you can do those things today and instantly shoot better, more consistently.
There you go.
Sorry, I get a little worked up about this stuff.
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth.
I'm all motivated now. See.
Is the podcast still going? Are you still doing that?
Absolutely, it's still going. We average 1 to 3 a week based on my schedule.
Okay.
It's like I knew you podcast. I didn't know you did it that often. That's a lot.
I do them based on inspiration. That's why there's not a schedule. That's why it's not Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I would never sit down and go, okay, it's Monday, I got to do a podcast. Crap. Instead, days I work later in the day, get up, take my dogs on a 90-minute walk/run so they can check their P-mail, and then sort of get a topic ruminating, and then chug some emergency, and then do the show. But if there's no idea that day, there's no show. I'm not just going to do one to do one.
There you go. So you can find where can we find these podcasts? I mean, there's a lot of them. So you can listen to Steve.
As you know, Anthony, I'm somewhat technically challenged. You can for sure find them on Facebook. If you go to Anderson Shooting on Facebook, they're all right there. That takes you to the Libsyn link where you can get them there.
There you go. So if you want to tune in, if you haven't been listening, you can tune in, listen to Steve's podcast, and he talks about all this stuff in more detail. And there's a lot of.
What's great about the podcast format is I don't have to be polite. I can talk as long as I want about whatever I want in whatever way I choose to, and it's really kind of like church. You say, well, how can you do a podcast forever on 1 or 2 topics? Well, look at how many churches there are. 3 days a week, all about the same stuff. So I love it, and as you can tell, I get a little passionate about it sometimes.
Yeah, we can definitely tell there. So check out the podcast. Check out Anderson Shooting on Facebook. Also, AndersonShooting.com. You can grab these books on Amazon. A lot of people have the Amazon Prime, and you can maybe get a few bucks on it, whatever. Do that. Look forward to the new book. The e-book's coming out for these of you guys who want to listen. Good way to do it. I always like to listen to this podcast on a way. If you're driving along to a match or something, you could go into the range, like to plug that stuff in your radio, blow it up in your car. You get a good feel, get in the mood. Listen to someone that's really knows what they're talking about in a podcast form. That's really good stuff. Discount Corner here. We got this coming up. We usually hit this way before like the ending of the show, but
hey, can I play some Van Halen while you're going through this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, good, because that's what this show's missing. It'd be nice and quiet. Just continue.
All right, so Van Halen going in the background. Shop.tacticalshit.com, TSM10 for 10% off your entire order. Handgun ammunition, FortMillMunitions.com, TeamFMN.com, TSM5 saves you 5% off all your ammunition purchases from there. Dewey Rods, DeweyRods.com, TSM15 for Dewey cleaning rods, man. Phenomenal cleaning rods. Treat your guns right. Get them a Dewey rod. Nikki, do you have any today?
I do, but I can't give it out over social media or this sort of social media. But if you're interested in a barrel, please contact me on Facebook, and I would love to help you get a discount on a really awesome barrel, possibly from Criterion Barrels.
There you go. So hit up Nikki, and she'll get you a barrel. Jen, you have any codes?
Samson Manufacturing, you can get 10% off with TSM10, and you can get all of your AR-15 needs, great scope mounts at samson-mfg.com.
There you go. I have one more here. Terran Tactical Innovations, TSM10 for anything off TerranTacticalInnovations.com. So I just had a buddy that just got into a 3-gun, and he wants a shredding Benelli M2 all turned out. So I just saved him at least 10% off that big purchase. That was today.
And that's a big purchase, so 10%.
That's a big purchase.
Probably a good chunk.
Yeah, that's a good chunk off of that. And we have Standard Deviation Arms. They sell some CR Speed stuff. They got a lot of sights for the P320. If you're looking for sights, I know you can get them over there. StandardDeviationArms.com, TSM5. save you off that. I have one more here. We keep getting a bunch of discount corn. This is good. Carbon Arms at TSM10 if you want a caddy system, jihad vest, a load tube. They have it all. They have shotgun extension tubes, so 12-round tube, 8-round tubes, and they got AR parts. CarbonArms.us TSM10 for 10% off, and UM Tactical, umtactical.com TSM10 save you 10% off that website too. All right, I think that'll do it. I think that'll bring us down to shout-outs. Jen, we start off with you.
Okay, I've got Samson Manufacturing Operation X. I've got Carbon Arms, Savannah River Armory, Sharpshooters of Augusta, Shooters of Augusta, Load Up Ammunition, Vortex, Blade Tech, Terran Tactical Innovations. I think that's all.
All right, there you go. I think you missed one. I'm thinking you're missing one.
Who'd I miss?
Tactical Life. Are you still with Tactical Life?
Oh yeah, TacticalLife.net.
There you go. There you go. I got you.
Anthony remembers them better than you do.
I got you. I got you covered.
He
there.
can remember mine. He can't remember his because he has like 38 of them.
That's
Well,
fine.
listen to his discount corner, no wonder.
He has
Yeah.
a little black book of
Oh,
sponsors.
that's right, I've seen it.
Right book. Old school. See, you write stuff down still. You use one of these little organizers. Put your match stuff in it. I like to write stuff down still. All right, there you go. Nikki, what do you have?
I'm going to go really quick because I got a big shout out at the end. So Criterion Barrels, American Defense Manufacturing, Eagle Imports, Pure Gold Shotgun Chokes, Stage Zero Shooting Supplies, Beyond the Sights, shop local at your local gun store. So mine's the Outdoor Shop, Cruise Spec, and Safariland. And I have got to shout out Techwear. I have been, I know, a burden to work with getting my jersey and Heath's jerseys ready to go. And they have just been phenomenal. I mean, Joe from Techwear called me at 6:30 tonight when he should have got off work at 5 to help me and talk to me about my jersey. Techwear has, and I ask a million questions.
Yeah.
So Techwear has just been awesome. Customer support has been fantastic. Jersey should be in the next day before Heath leaves for Three Gun Nation Regionals in Alabama on Wednesday. So early next week, jerseys will be finalized and in hand.
Right on. That's good stuff. Yeah, Joe at Techwear does a fantastic job. So there you go. It's funny. I grabbed a little black book and a bunch of fishing lures just kind of fell on me. So that's how I have a little secondary little hobby. Got a little frog going there. So we can do a show on
funny or
fish.
terrifying. That's
No.
weird.
Yeah, I had a little frog fall on me. I'm like, geez, the hooks are still in and everything. Look at that. Boom. All right. That side note, we're getting off track here. Shout outs, Steve. You're up. What do you have?
Absolutely. CR Speed, obviously. Matt Sheely for building phenomenal open gun, and my beautiful new wife Erica for putting up with me, and most importantly, turning her Wi-Fi off for an hour and a half on her phone so we could have better connection. That's a big sacrifice.
Yeah, that is a huge sacrifice, man.
That's
She
love.
lets you hang up
That's love.
guitars as furniture too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she bought me for my last birthday a replica of Eddie Van Halen's striped guitar. That's a big deal. It's
That's a big deal. Man.
Very big deal.
That's love.
You better keep her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the plan. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go. You got your shout outs through? Anything else?
I
Me?
didn't shout out my husband.
Oh, actually, I do have one more. I want to thank Max Michel for the interview, and I know this looks like a sales pitch, and I apologize, but there's an interview, the very last chapter of this before the drill start is an interview with Max, where he explains to me that shot calling is what took him from just a GM, think about that for a second, because you can get very far without it. It took him from just a GM to a contender for a national championship. That's how big a deal this is. Okay, so believe me if you want. If you don't believe me, believe Max Michel. And the interview's in the book. And I want to thank him for doing that publicly.
There you go. So, and that kind of, I was wondering, wow, Max Michel's liking, Max Michel usually does, but, so on Twitter there, it says Max Michel liked episode featuring Steve Anderson. It's kind of like right there. I know you probably can't see it.
Max and Travis have been so kind to me over the years. Gio Travis Tomasi is probably the nicest guy on the planet. They've both just been wonderful to me.
Yeah, we got to get Travis on the show. We got to get Travis. He's one of those shooters that have always been in the back of my mind. I've tried reaching out a couple times and failed to make the connection, but we need to get Travis on, and we need to get Rob Latham on. He's one of those kind of great guys that we haven't had on the show, and the show's not complete. If I say I can't say I'm done with the show until I have guys like that. You know, we've had some good guys, but we haven't had those two. So. There we go. Shout out to my.
I can probably help you get a.
What with Travis?
Yeah, I could probably help you out with Travis. I can put a bug in his ear if you want.
Yeah. Bug in the ear is good. That's all I need. A little bug in the ear, and then I can take it from there. There you go. Was that one out? He just put out a crazy drill on his Facebook page. I think he put it out this morning or like yesterday. So check that drill out. The dude's smoking reloads. I mean, man, that guy has some can reload that firearm quick. All right, so subscribe button. Right below this video, you can see the subscribe button. Subscribe every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a new episode of the Shooter's Mindset. I have some competition reviews, gear reviews, match footage that I throw in there. Also, Tactical Ship for supporting the show. That's shop.tacticalship.com. Those are great people. If you want to get a hold of me, email me. theshootersmindset@gmail.com is a good way to do that. Thank you big time for Steve Anderson, man. Thanks for sharing your knowledge here to the viewers of the Shooter's Mindset. And hopefully they go check out your book and learn how to become a better shooter. That's the whole goal of the show.
Thank you very much.
Definitely want to say thanks to DK Custom Triggers, Terran Tactical Innovations, Snag Mag, Carbon Arms, and Fort Mill Munitions. We're going to leave it at those four today, and that will do it. Nikki, did I get your shout out? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for episode 127 of the Shooter's Mindset featuring Steve Anderson. Nikki, Jennifer, thanks for helping me on this one. And the frogs. All right, there we go.
That's just creepy.
Yeah, I had a bunch of frogs falling on me, man. Yeah.
You're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah,
that was like a plague. You better watch out.
The Bible about
frogs. I need to get this on the line, man. This is probably good luck right now. I'm feeling it. The bass are feeling it. All right, side note, we're out of here. Episode 127. Thanks for tuning in. We're out.